Everybody, TC Bradley, host of God Made Millionaire TV, the hottest show on television. And I've been waiting all week for you, yes you, to stop on by and watch our show. And what a show we've got lined up for you. Waiting on set right now, we have Mr. Regis Sauger. Regis is an expert in the area of consumer credit, specifically helping people that have consumer credit issues resolve those issues. Not only that, he's a man on a mission to help God's babies with his nonprofit organization. Without any further ado, let's crack open the vault and let's get our show started. Regis, welcome to the show.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Regis, I'm honored to have you here. You are a legend in the personal credit field. You're somebody that has been in demand over the course of your career. You're a very accomplished businessman, but your specialty in this latter season of your life was in personal credit. And I believe that in the season that people that are watching this show find themselves in, there are people suffering right now economic trauma from a job loss, from a business loss. They're in uncharted waters when it comes to personal credit and dealing with that issue. And yet you've come out of retirement to help people and to serve people, but you have an ulterior motive with your help in that you have a foundation as well that you hope to fund through helping God's people with their credit issues, right?
Yes.
With this foundation. So it's a pleasure to have you on my show, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did I hit the nail on the head?
Yeah, you waxed me pretty good.
Well, we're just getting started. But let me ask you this. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I've done my best to give you a good introduction, but you give me the Cliff Notes version of who you are and what God's calling you to do in this season.
Well, I was a golf professional for over 60 years, and I earned my reputation teaching. And I taught nationally for the Professional Golfers Association. My wife and I retired to Florida. She came down with age 4 adenocarcinoma, lung cancer, and I was her nurse. I put her in intensive care on August the 5th of 1999. This is something that I've kept to myself, except to my children, and now I will tell you. I put her in intensive care on August the 5th, and she passed away on August the 8th. Now, after the funeral, we buried her in Fort Myers, Florida. So I came back to the condo in Orlando, and the kids had bought her a 10th calendar with saying from the Bible every day. I called my daughter, Kelly, who was a golf pro in Florida, and I said, Kelly, are you sitting down? She said, what is it, Dad? I said, I'm going to read you what's on Mom's calendar the day she passed away. St. Paul's letters to Timothy, and it was letter number 4, and it said, I fought the good fight. My cup runneth over. Today is the last day of my life, on the day she passed away. So I told my daughter, Kelly, I said, Kelly, look, if anybody doesn't believe there's a greater power that makes the birds fly, the water flow, the flowers bloom, if they don't believe it, have them call me. So I sat down and I said, Lord, what do you want me to do? I'm 65 years old, flat broke, because the cancer in the hospital all broke us. I can go to Walmart and put groceries in bags, or I can help people, this and that. And I got the message. Do what your wife did, help people. Well, she loved children with Down syndrome. I said, well, how do you do that? God gave me the talent to read a technical manual and rewrite it so the average guy could understand it. So I started writing. And out of the clear blue sky, I get a call from the Zadaka Foundation up in Minnesota at that time. And they said, we would like you to represent us in Central Florida. Well, what they would do is provide the down payment assistance for people that needed help. And I was selected to help them. Well, I became a mortgage broker, but I had to understand credit. So I dove into it and I said, whoa, wait a minute. So I wrote books on it or articles. Well, I helped a lot of people get a home that had bad credit. And so then I was called to Fort Myers and I went to work for one of the large builders. And we taught classes on Saturday and Sunday to people that need credit help. And the direct endorsement underwriters for the FHA, they said, if you attend Mr. Sauger's credit class, we'll approve you for a mortgage. And that was heavy. So I had a list of a couple of hundred people that I approved them for loans. I made a little bit of money. We ended up being invited to speak nationally. I was invited to Atlanta by a big-time judge. Had her whole office crew come in, and I spent the day, and she paid me well to teach her whole staff how to understand credit. After I tried to slow down, we were going to buy a golf course up in Pinehurst, and the deal fell through because of greed. I made 7 numbers twice in my life. Once I lost it to stupidity, and once to greed.
Well, you just casually dropped that in the middle of our interview.
Oh, anyway.
Right? So you've made $1 million more than once.
Yes.
Right, okay.
After that, my wife did not drive. And I had to drive all over looking to put some business deals together. So we agreed. I sent her to California to stay with her sisters until I could get going again. Well, we moved her out to California, and I'm all by myself there in West End, or by Pinehurst, and I had a stroke. I fell on the floor, and I'm laying there, and things are going in circles. Anyway, I thought I had vertigo. So I drove myself like this to the pharmacy, got some pills, still no. So I called my daughter and she said, Dad, call 911, you've got to go to the emergency room. Well, I'm stronger than that, I'm smarter than that. So I drove myself. They put me in, emergency room took me in, and maybe an hour later, they took an MRI. And when I came out of the MRI, the neurologist is there with his chart. And I figured they're going to open me up and do some plumbing, because when you're an old goat, you what do you call it, plaque? Anyway, he said, Mr. Sauger, we want to, a message for you. I said, what is it? He said, you're a very rare person. We found 0 plaque in your body.
Wow.
0 plaque. Thank you, Lord. So my daughter came up from Fort Myers. She flew up. She drove me down. We left everything to charity. Everything. Came back to Florida with just my clothes and my computer. I said, you know what? I've got to take what talent I have to help people. It wasn't money. It wasn't money at all. I didn't have any, so I didn't need any. I'm staying with my daughter. So I started a 501c3 through some friends in Florida, and I had it approved in 4 weeks.
Wow.
I decided that if I could take my teaching ability in golf and teach autistic and Down syndrome children how to play golf, it would extend their quality of life, and that would make me feel good. Nobody's done it. So how was I going to do it? Well, I have a son who's in Houston. He's a big shot. He's a treasurer for a big charity in Houston, and I talked to him about it. And he said, Dad, who are your donors? I said, I don't want any donors. We'll take donations, but I don't want them. Well, I'm going to take my credit knowledge and monetize it, and if people like it and they feel like donating, or they want to buy a PowerPoint or whatever it is, that money goes to the foundation, doesn't go to me, goes to the foundation, hire the golf pros and the occupational therapist to do it. So I said, well, wait a minute. There are a lot of good golf pros out there, a lot of well-intended golf pros, that know how to teach golf, but they don't know anything about autism or Down syndrome. And now you have a lot of volunteers that know all about Down syndrome and autism, but they don't know anything about golf. So the wrong people were teaching the wrong things to the right people. So I wrote a book and I copyrighted it, had it copyrighted in 5 weeks.
Right.
And it's called An Instructor's Manual on Teaching Autistic and Down Syndrome Children. And currently, I'm involved with an occupational therapist who's one of the top 100 in the country. She worked with the United Nations in the Middle East, and she saw my program and she says, oh my gosh, I've got to help you. So I have one of the top occupational therapists, and our program is now being launched, and that's our website, helpinggodsbabies.com.
Which we'll put a graphic up on the screen for the people listening at home. Regis, quick question for you.
Yeah.
How young are you?
I'm 85. I'll be 86 in March.
So you're 85 years of age.
Yep.
And God has given you this assignment.
Yes.
In this hour, in this season, that you're to use your knowledge that people have paid a lot of money for to help people with their credit issues. And you've put together a book to help people specifically with credit issues. And our people right now in our country that have never experienced these issues, dealing with bill collectors, collection agencies, dealing with past due accounts. And you've put together a roadmap, a blueprint, if you would, to how to help navigate those waters, especially for you at home. There's no shame in what's going on in the credit world, in our economy right now. More people are facing these challenges than ever before, but your heartbeat is to help God's babies.
But now it's my turn.
Go ahead.
Here's the scene. Every housewife can go to the mailbox in the middle of the night and figure the envelopes and pick out a check or a note from mom. They even know the bills, and they don't open them, but they open up the check. Now, there's a lawyer's letter in there. It says, do we cheat them and how? She doesn't want to open it. She's afraid of it. She puts it under the coffee table so her husband can't see it. She's going to wait until her brother-in-law comes over because he's smart, and he's going to tell her what to do. And she opens up he opens up the letter, and it says, Dear Susie, welcome. We want to help you. We own your debt. You owe us $10,000. Isn't that a nice letter to get? Well, that $10,000 might have been a credit card that they had 5 years ago. Well, federal law says this: 7 years from the date that you were first late and never got caught up, that debt is extinguished by law. Now, the banks sell that debt for pennies on the dollar. Guess who buys it? Lawyers. So here's a $10,000 debt that they bought, and it has 2 more years to go before the 7 years is up. They paid $300. Now the letter comes to Susie. She doesn't know. Her brother-in-law doesn't know. Her husband, he's too busy driving his truck back and forth to work, and these poor kids are uninformed. So the letter says, welcome, we want to help you. We will settle this for $5,000. We'll save you. Now, to start this off, please send us a goodwill payment of $100. Don't do it, because if you send them a partial payment to show your good faith, they show their good faith by extending your credit prison another 5 years. That's the reality of the business. Now, credit repair companies will not tell you this. I will tell you that. That's just one idea of how people get hurt. One of the other things, I had an elder couple in Orlando. He was a car detailer, and she was a waitress.
Right.
And he bought a car, and he fixed it all up, and he got sick, so they couldn't make the car payments. So the car dealer, a used car dealer, repossessed it. Well, he ended up with a car that was better than what he sold. So they came to me and they couldn't get a mortgage. And I said to her, I said, Stella, let me see. So I was sitting at home at night. My wife was sleeping. This is before she passed away. All of a sudden, I'm on the Florida Attorney General's website, and I saw a case where a judge ruled that a vehicle that is repossessed and sold in a commercially unreasonable manner. Well, by law, anybody can go to the auction because you still own it until the auctioneer says it's sold. Repossession means I took it back.
Right.
Doesn't mean I own it. I took it back. So the car was sold at a dealer-only auto auction, and the judge ruled what they received constituted payment in full. Oh, wait a minute. So I used that, and I successfully removed over 65 automobile repossessions in Lee County, Florida over a period of 4 years.
Wow. But I want to touch on what you're talking about. We've got people, good people in our country, all across this country tuning in, and they're trying to navigate this maze, this credit maze, this personal credit maze, and they don't know what they don't know. And you've got a program that you put together,
yes,
that will help them navigate from A to Z, whatever the challenge is credit-wise. If they'll order that book that we put up on the screen,
it's in the book.
You lift the veil of secrecy is what you're really telling me. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Having said that, now, the proceeds from that are going to benefit your Helping God's Babies Foundation, helping autism. Now, having said that, Regis, tell us about the ham sandwich, the $750.
$750 for a ham sandwich. Would you ever pay that much for it?
No.
But you did, and you didn't know it. Here's what happens. When you're in the medical facility, doctor comes in at 8 o'clock in the morning to do his morning rounds. Why? Because his later rounds he's at his clinic. Doctor comes in, he grabs the chart, he whacks you on the knee, and goes like this. Says, you know what? You're out of here. Well, he legally, when he signed that chart, you didn't receive any more medical attention. He's the one that signed off on it. Now, he might have put in there an order for you to return back to his clinic for further stuff. But you're out of there. So he leaves, and you get up and you've got your Christian Dior strapless, backless gown, and you go over to your closet and you start to get dressed. And in comes the starting guard for the New York Giants. And she says, where are you going? I'm going home. I'm out of here. Get back in the bed. You can't leave until the paperwork comes down. You're on the 5th floor of the hospital. How's it going to come down? So you back in your bed, and about an hour later, little girl comes in, a little pixie with ribbons and this carton. And she says, what would you like for lunch? I'm not going to be here. Well, she says, well, my boss has to see that I did my job. Order something. Give me a ham sandwich and a Coke. 11:30 in wheels the cart with the ham sandwich and a Coke. Well, okay, it's good. 12:30 back in comes the New York Giant guard. All right, get out of here. So you get dressed and you leave. Well, guess what? It's not on your medical records. It's on your medical bill. And when you leave a facility, stop at the business office and get a copy of your medical records. You are legally entitled to them. They might charge you $1 a page, whatever. But the minute that you were booked into that room after 11:30, they charged you or your insurance company another $750. Why is our health insurance so high? That's the story of the $750 sandwich.
Right.
You can have this for lunch.
Well, thank you so much.
But it's a turkey sandwich.
Regis.
I stopped to buy a ham sandwich and ended up with a turkey sandwich.
Listen, we're almost out of time. I do want to give you an opportunity to speak to the nations, over 200 nations, with your message that God has laid on your heart. And I think you're inspiring. It is never too late to go after your God-given dream. So right now, be that hope and inspiration to 200 nations.
I can say this because I've lived it. I don't know of anybody that's ever bought their way into heaven. I know a lot of people who have earned their way to heaven, okay? So with the knowledge and my passion for helping people, I have a secret that I want you folks out there to get your pencil and write this down. Don't listen and memorize it. You won't. I want you to write this down. It's called a 609 letter. It's a Federal Trade Commission letter. You go on the internet and look up 609 letter. This is the secret the credit repair companies will not tell you. They won't tell you this at all. But what this letter is if you dispute anything on your medical bill, not your medical record, your medical bill. If you dispute anything on there, you demand a copy of the original contract, or if it's a repossession or a collection, whatever it is, if you don't agree with it, you send this letter in, and they must produce the original contract or the original agreement, or they must delete it in 30 days. That's my gift to you. So, and if you have any questions or you want to know something that I know, just go on my website. It's that simple.
We'll drop a link for it right here. Regis, you and your ham sandwich, your $750 ham sandwich. It was an honor, sir, to have you on our set today. I know you've opened the eyes to a lot of people that are hurting right now, and I believe that God is going to bless the labor of your heart with the children, with God's babies, what you're doing for the autistic children and the children with Down syndrome. So on my behalf and on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you for answering the call, regardless of your age. It was never too late with your God-given dream. Regis, a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you, JC.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Everybody, can you believe we are at the end of another show? And what a show we had lined up for you tonight. You know, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that I've always said is God doesn't need Netflix for entertainment when He's got T.C. Bradley to mess around with. My life profoundly changed one afternoon in my office when I was minding my own business, and God spoke to my heart and He said, "You're not playing big enough." I said, "What do you mean I'm not playing big enough, God?" He said, "You're not playing big enough." And I said, "God, I think I've been playing a pretty big game here in my business." And He said, "Son, your definition of playing big and my definition of playing big are two different definitions." And He pointed out some areas in my life where I had played it small. I had played it safe on the safety of the shoreline. I called it wisdom at the time. So I made a sacred vow to my God that afternoon. It was a sacred vow. I promised Him, and I made a vow that I would never limit Him in what He wanted to do in my life or through my life for the rest of my life. And I meant it, ladies and gentlemen. 9 months go by, and the baby is born. What do I mean by the baby? You're looking at the baby. I was placed in a situation where I was given an opportunity to do a major TV show called God Made Millionaire TV. A TV show that was not on my bucket list. It was not on any vision board that I had. But God was calling me to the deep waters in my life. How many of you know that your destiny is never found on the safety of the shoreline? I had to go to the deep ends of the water. Now, I tell you honestly and candidly, I'm one of God's biggest smack talkers. I talk about this show being the hottest show on television, and it is. It is. It's not because I'm this tremendous host. It's because God's anointing and God's vision and purpose is on this show. You get to see it every Sunday night. God-given dreams being activated right before your very eyes. But it all became possible. It all became possible, folks, 9 months earlier when I was challenged by God to go to the deep waters. Not to play it small, not to play it safe. You at home, listening to this broadcast. You're not watching this by accident. You're like me. You're on the safety of the shoreline. You're there. You've got your jacuzzi. You've got your barbecue. Life is good. Life is safe on the safety of the shoreline. But your destiny and your God is calling you to the deep waters. Go to those deep waters. When it came time for me to go, I couldn't talk. I couldn't talk smack anymore. I either had to step up and step into what God called me to do, or I had to sit down and shut up. I had a decision to make. I made the decision to go to the deep waters. And I want to encourage you tonight, yes, you, to go to the deep waters where your God is waiting for you. All right, everybody, it's time to get out of here. But before we go, you know how we do it here on God Made Millionaire TV? We've got to do our prosperity dance. You got to get your shades on at home, hit your music, and do your prosperity dance sometime this week. Do it with some attitude and go to those deep waters. Big Mike, hit my music.
Inside the heart of each and every one of us lies a dream, a purpose we were put here on this planet to fulfill, a God-given mission. And when we tap into it, God will unleash unbelievable blessings over our lives, from our family to our finances. T.C. Bradley's new book, God Made Millionaire, will help you bring the abundant riches of the kingdom to all aspects of your life. Order God Made Millionaire today.
Hey everybody, T.C. Bradley, host of God Made Millionaire TV, and I was thinking the other day of how my life was profoundly impacted and changed for the better when I published my first book, Supernatural Success. Within 45 days of publishing that book, I signed a major TV deal to feature and promote my book on that TV show. After that, I published another book, got invited back to another TV show. If you're watching this video, listen. You've been given a God-given dream to publish a book. He's given you an assignment to do, and like me, you want to try to talk yourself out of it. I didn't talk myself out of it, and my life was profoundly changed. I want to help you publish your book. If you've been given a God-given dream, an assignment to publish your book, well, we have a publishing company designed specifically from A to Z to handle all of those details for you. All you need to do right now at this point is set an appointment up with our publishing company so that we can talk to you about bringing your book to the marketplace and your voice to the nations on our show, God Made Millionaire TV, as a published author.